Hey guys, Mike Nevers here. You're watching On Deck with Tyler Redmond.
Welcome into On Deck. I'm Tyler Redmond. As always, make sure to like this video and subscribe to this channel and hit the bell for notifications so that you can be notified every time there is something going on with your Atlanta Braves. So, it's been some pretty big news as of late that Freddie Freeman is now back after his battle with coronavirus, and it's good to see him on the field, and it's good to see him taking at-bats. Speaking of that, he wanted to take as many at-bats as possible last night. He ended up getting 5. And right now, it's really just important that he's seeing pitches and he's, one, in the batter's box. So he wants around 30 at-bats before opening day, and hopefully that'll happen. Opening day is the 24th. That is now 5 days away. Now, he had a pretty good night. First off, he had a couple ground outs, but it's just important. I mean, he's hopping right back into live pitching after months of not seeing it. It's good, first off, that he's just making contact. He had a couple walks and he grounded out a couple times, but what caught my attention is that in his second at-bat in the second inning, on the first pitch, he bounced it off the right field wall and he got an RBI standing up at third. We'll call it a double. We've always known Freddie as a guy who can just hop right into the lineup after a couple at-bats and be right back where he was last time we saw him. So hopefully that's the case now. Hopefully he'll be the Freddie that we know and the Freddie that we like to see on the field. Secondly, I'd like to talk about another guy who I've actually talked about a good bit as of late, Charlie Culberson. And Charlie Culberson has been really bidding for that 30-man roster spot for a while now. He's been an important part to the Braves for a couple years. He can fill any position, and I think that's what's so important to have on this type of roster, especially going into a 60-game season, which is unforeseen. And I think somebody that is as versatile as Charlie Culberson is really important. He had a good night last night. He was 3 for 3 with a homer, and he's obviously fighting for that 30-man spot. Hopefully he'll get it. I would really like to see it. I think it would almost be a mistake if the Braves didn't pick him up for that spot. We know they're carrying extra pitching. I hope they'll carry an extra position player in Charlie Culberson as well. Also, Alex Jackson hit a homer. Alex Jackson is a catcher by trade, but he's also played some center field in this spring training 2.0, and I really think that the Braves like him, obviously. They're trying different spots with him. They're going to see where he fits in best. He's going to be a catcher backup, but he's performed pretty well in summer camp. So hopefully he'll be able to find a spot along with Charlie Culberson there. And the other guy, Ozzie Albies, he got, Soroka looked really sharp last night. And he pitched around 7 innings, really 5 innings, but they kept in some extra batters to give him about a 7-inning stretch. And Ozzie got the first hit off of Soroka. It was in a 4th inning. He also hustled home and scored the first run when Ozuna got the first RBI. So good to see both of those guys getting their at-bats in, getting, actually performing against a pitcher that has been in the Cy Young conversation for the past couple of years. So good to see that out of the Braves offense. Good to see it out of Mike Soroka too, though. Riley last night split the gap with a single, and I still think Riley is one that has so much upside that if he can start performing well, if he can get back to where he was when he debuted last year, he had 18 home runs in like a month last year. I think that guy could really be a fundamental part of the lineup. I thought he was a DH candidate. It's looking more and more like it's going to be Marcell Ozuna. But if they can find a spot for Austin Riley, they're certainly trying to. They talked about him being DH. They talked about him being in the outfield. Obviously, he's a third base by nature. But if he can, they even talked about him being first base if Freddie wasn't going to be ready. So I think that, Austin Riley is going to find a spot in the lineup one way or another, whether that be versus right-handed pitching or whatever the case may be. Him and Johan may split time. Whoever's got the hot bat's going to be in. And right now, I think he's got a hot bat. He's obviously changed a lot of what he's, changed some of the bad habits he had last year. He's not chasing the slider quite as much, and when he does, he's putting it in right field. I think he's going to be a fundamental part. So I've mentioned a few times on this channel that left-handed relievers are, if the Braves have a weakness, that's it. Last night they brought in Chris Russin, and he had a clean 2 innings last night. So it's good to see a left-handed pitcher come in relief and have a clean 2 innings, no hits, no runs, and a couple strikeouts. It's good to see that because the Braves need that going into opening day. Right now they have a ton of right-handers. The only other guy is Dayton, and Dayton came in last night, ended up, he did okay. He pitched it in and gave up 1 hit, no runs, and a strikeout. It's good to see the left-handed relievers coming around because that's one worry I've had. So right now, if there is a need, I think that's it. I just haven't seen enough in that spot. Plenty of right-handers. Braves have an excellent bullpen, but the left-handed relievers are low in numbers. Also, good to see Tookie come back. We talked a lot about Freddie, but Tookie Toussaint came back last night after his battle with coronavirus. Granted, he had no symptoms, but he had a clean inning. He had 1 inning pitched and 2 strikeouts, and he walked 1 guy, that being Freddie Freeman. So he got a filthy curveball too, by the way. So you ought to go check out some of the highlights if you can find them. But that's all I got here at On Deck for today. Make sure to drop a like, drop a subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications so you can stay up to date with all things Atlanta Braves right here at On Deck. There's only 60 games, so make sure you're staying up to date with every single one of them right here at On Deck.